A couple days ago, Jerome Powell admitted that after 14 rate hikes, inflation is not going away. New Treasury data is showing why. After a brief break during the debt ceiling play fight, the federal government is back to spending like a banker in a strip club. My colleague E.J. Antoni shared a couple threads that showed our country is driving off a fiscal cliff that, unless they manage to catastrophically crash the economy, will keep inflation going for years to come. First up, new Treasury data says interest on the debt soared to $61 billion in May. That's an annualized $730 billion, almost $500 per month per household in federal debt service alone. In fact, we are now paying more in interest than veterans, education, and transportation combined. Interest on old debt is now over a quarter of the federal deficit, so we're borrowing more just to pay interest on what we've already borrowed. And it's getting worse fast. So far in 2023, the deficit is 2.7 times higher than it was this time last year. And it is going to keep getting worse as old low-rate debt rolls off and is replaced by much higher-rate debt. Keep in mind, a year ago, treasuries were yielding 2.9%, meaning they could borrow $100 and pay $2.90 in interest. Those rates are now 5.3%, meaning that interest goes from $2.90 to $5.30. Almost double. Of course, it is all funny money to them. They'll just run bigger and bigger deficits, which the Fed will dutifully finance. That is the inflationist MMT mantra. Print like there's no tomorrow, because tomorrow you'll just print some more. The problem is regular Americans do not have basement money printers, so all those new dollars cause inflation that destroys their paychecks, their pensions, their life savings. Meanwhile, anything you bought on credit, a vacation, a new deck, an adjustable mortgage, are all digging you deeper into a hole. Since Biden took office, the average American family now earns $5,600 less. It's $500 per month. Keep in mind, that's just with official inflation. If true inflation is higher, it is much worse. You got hit even harder if you tried to protect yourself from inflation by buying a house. The monthly payment on a house has now doubled since Biden, adding another $12,000 per year, or $350,000 over the course of a typical 30-year mortgage. That makes it much harder for young families to even get started. And all that is not even counting the extra $11 trillion of debt that Americans owe since Joe Biden took over, not least from additional federal debt, along with credit cards and millions now buying groceries on installment. That new debt comes to $85,000 per family. In other words, for every $1 raise that Americans got over these past 2 years, and which Biden keeps bragging about, they lost $2.50 in what they can actually buy, and they got hit with almost $15 in additional debt. Our economy is rapidly turning into a piggy bank for federal deficits as working families are falling off the treadmill for the singular goal of enabling eye-watering levels of federal spending. So far, both parties seem content to keep it going over and over, trillion by trillion, until it breaks. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.